Okay, in this tutorial I'm gonna show how to create one component that is gonna be a tetrahedral, and we also gonna add a lot of features to that tetrahedral. So we're gonna use coordinate systems, we're gonna use planes so we can rotate it. We're also gonna use one feature that is called LawCurve that is really nice, that you can add a lot of variations to your component. And the second part of this tutorial is going to consist, I'm going to show how to populate that component in using one array and how can we start making like really cool stuff. So the first thing that I need to build a tetrahedral is I need 3 points. So let's go to the top view first, and let's place 3 points. 0.01, 0.02, 0.03. To create the 4th point of this tetrahedral, I want to do it using an option that is called line by start point direction and length. And where is my start point direction and length? To create this point, I need a start point, a direction, and a length. So let's create that first. So let's go to point, and I want to do it in the centroid of these 3 points. So I have to choose the option centroid offset. So let's select we can do it like we can type that, so we have to open curly braces. Let me get bigger this, and we can type 0.01, 0.02, 0.03. Let's close curly braces. OK, and hit OK. Right. Now that we have our point, let's record these transactions. It's always to save all the steps that you can. Let's create a coordinate system so we can have the direction. So we're gonna use coordinate system by universal transformation. It's gonna ask us for the coordinate system. It's gonna the base is our base yes. Now let's just type 0 in these values. But this is all the options that you can, all the things that you can manipulate inside this coordinate system. This is the way that you can rotate in GC, and it's one way to do it. And the origin is going to be the point that I just created, which is 0.04. I can do it just by selecting it and hit OK. So now I have my coordinate system. So now I want to create my line. So let's go to create a new feature, and let's select a line by start point direction and length. So the start point is going to be the 0.04. The direction, I'm going to use the z direction of the coordinate system that I just created. The way to do it is this little line here that I just have to select it. I want to go up, so that's why I'm using that one. And the length, I'm going to use a function that is called distance, because I want to create that line. The length of that line, I want to be the distance between 0.04 is this guy and this corner. So in that way, it's one way to add some parameters to the component. So the way to do it, to type a distance function, is if you don't know how to type a function in GC, the easiest way to do, and this is really nice, is that you just have to hit in this bottom, the green box, and it's going to show up the expression builder, that is a place where you have all the functions inside GC and more information there. So you just have to go here and select distance and select insert. So now the good thing is that GC write for you, and not only write the name of the how you need to type the function, but also wrote the inputs that you need. So I need 2 points for making this function. So I'm gonna use the 0.01 and I'm gonna use the 0.04, which is the centroid of these 3 points. And I hit OK and I say OK. So now let's record this translation. And so if I move one of these points, if I move 0.01, we can see that the line is changing and also the point, the centroid, right? So that's very nice. Let's cancel this. So now I need to start building the faces of this tetrahedron. So the next thing that I'm going to do is just to change, I'm going to change the visualization of this line. I want to make it look just for construction. So I need to use this tool. So I'm going to create now, let's hit the transaction, B-spline curve by poles. And I'm going to do it from 0.01. I'm going to use line 01 dot endpoint, and I'm going to use 0.02. And I hit OK. The order is going to be 2. I want to just create straight lines. I don't want to make curves. And I'm going to hit OK. So I have the first one. So now let's create a copy in the second phase and in the third one. So to doing that, the easiest way is just to hit create copy. Let's change the points. So this one is going to be from 0.02, line 01 endpoint, and 0.03. Let's hit OK. And let's create another one in this phase. So let's hit create copy. And it's going to be from 0.03, line 01 endpoint, and 0.01. Let's hit OK. Okay, now we can see the tetrahedron. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a centroid point in each of the face of this tetrahedron, so I can start drawing in that face, in each of the faces. So by doing that, I need to, let's save the transaction, and let's go create new feature. Let's go and select point by centroid offset, and the centroid is going to be, I'm going to do it in this phase. So I'm going to select point of 1, line of 1 dot endpoint, and 0.02. And let's hit OK. So now you can see that I create the centroid between this point and these other two. And I'm going to do the same in the other two faces. So let's just hit create copy. And we're going to do the same thing that we did with the curves. We're just going to change the points. The line of one endpoint is the same. I'm just going to change 0.02 for 0.01. And this is going to be 0.03. And hit OK. And I have my second central point. And let's create now one in this face. So let's hit create copy. And let's change these points into 0.03 and this one is 0.01. Let's hit OK, hit OK. So now the next thing that I need to do is I'm going to create a plane in this face. So that's in order to be able to draw in this face of the tetrahedron. So let's save the transaction and let's go new feature. Let's create a plane and let's create it by origin xy points. So the origin is going to be this point, the first centroid is 0.05. The x point is going to be 0.1 since I'm going to do it in this phase. And the y point is going to be this top, the fourth point of the tetrahedron, that is line of 1 dot endpoint. The transformation option is we're gonna choose shared and let's hit OK. So now I have a plane that is gonna allow me to start drawing in this phase of the tetrahedron. So let's do it again in the other three phases. Create copy. And I'm gonna change the origin is gonna be 0.06. The x point is gonna be 0.02. The y point is the same one and the option is the same, shared. So let's hit OK. So I have my second plane and let's do the same in the third one. So let's just create copy and let's change the origin, that is going to be 0.07. The x point is 0.03 and the transformation option is shared again. So in that way now I have my three planes. So now I have, let's record this transaction. Now that I have my planes in each phase, I'm gonna create a point in each of the faces. So for doing that I have to select a point, and what is important is that now I'm drawing a point in the basis xy plane. That's why it looks like this. But if I hit Control and if I get closer to the plane that I just created, it's gonna change automatically. I don't know if you notice that. I'm gonna do it again. I'm just going to select point and I'm gonna hit Control and I'm gonna get closer to it. So if I click left in my mouse, now I create a point that is in that plane, is in that phase of the tetrahedron. So I'm gonna do it again in this phase. I have to select a point, I have to hit Control and get closer to it, right? And I'm gonna do it one last time in this. I'm gonna place point, hit Control, and put it in that phase. So now let's record this transaction. Now if I move this point, it's gonna move in this plane, in this phase. You can see it. And now the next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm going to create the same curves that I did, but using this point. So let's go to B-spline curve by poles, and I'm gonna do it using point of 1 0.8, and 0.02. The order is going to be 2 because I want to make it straight line. Order 2, that's what it means, and order 3, it's a curve. So let's hit OK, and we have that curve. And I'm going to do it 2 more times in the other faces. So let's create copy. We can just change our points here. First point is 0.02. The second point is 0.09. And the third point is 0.03. OK. Hit OK. And let's create one more. Create copy. And let's change it to 0.03, 0.10, and 0.01. Let's hit OK and hit OK. So now we're almost done with the tetrahedron. The next thing that I'm just gonna do is let's create a surface. Let's create a ruled surface between this curve and the curves that I just created. So let's save the transaction and go to new feature. Let's go to B-spline surface. We're gonna rule the surface because it's just 2 curves. So we're gonna start with this face. This is B-spline curve 3 and B-spline curve 6. And let's hit OK. And now let's create a copy. And we're gonna do the same in the other 2 faces. This one was B-spline curve 1 and B-spline curve 4. Oops, I didn't hit copy. Sorry. Let's create the other one. 3 and 6. Okay. And now let's create the last one between curve 2 and 5. Okay. Now we have done, we have our tetrahedron with our surfaces. So now we're gonna continue. The next thing that we're gonna do with these tetrahedrons, we're gonna create a LawCurve. So we can move these points parametrically, and we can add some variation and transformation to our tetrahedron. So the first thing that we need to do for creating a LawCurve is we have to create a model. So we have to go Tools, Create Feature, Create Model. And we're gonna call it LawCurve, and we're gonna hit OK. So we're gonna create inside here our LawCurve. So let's just cancel our camera view and let's go to the top view. So for creating a LawCurve, we're gonna do it by control points. We need to create a curve frame first and then some points. So first we have to create a LawCurve frame, and we're gonna do it from plane. The plane is gonna be the XY plane from the LawCurve base. So we just have to select this plane. The dimension, we're gonna use just 2 values. This type just 5 and 5. The x-axis, I'm gonna use a function called series is how many axes I want in X. So I want to have from 0 to 5, which is the dimension that I just gave, and I want divisions each one unit. And I'm going to copy this. I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to paste it in Y-axis. Now that I hit OK, I have my LawCurve frame with the divisions that I just created. So let's save this transaction. The next thing that I need is I need to create some control points. So I'm going to use the place point tool. I'm going to hit control, and I'm going to create 3 points over this frame that I just created. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to cancel. So let's save this step, and let's go to create new feature. Now we have everything that we need to create a LawCurve. So let's do it by control points, and let's select the LawCurve frame is this one, the one that we just created, that is LawCurve frame hub 1. The control points, we're going to select point 11, just remember hit control, point 12 and point 13. The control curve that we're going to use is by points. The order is going to be 3. I want to create a curve. And the variable, we're going to use the same function that we use to create the divisions. That is going to be series, 0 and 5 and 1. Let's create, hit OK, and hit OK. So let's save that transaction. So now what we have to do is we have to switch the controls. We have to add the value of this LawCurve into these points. And by doing that, we have to edit the points. So let's go and edit the first one, that is going to be 0.08. And we're going to change the value in X translation. We're going to delete this, and we're going to give the value of this LawCurve. So by doing that, we have to type LawCurve of 1, which is this guy that we just create. We have to hit dot, and we're going to use the option that is called dependent variable, and we're going to add the position, the index 2. And we're going to hit OK, and we're going to hit apply. So that means that this point now has the value in X of this point in the LawCurve. So if we move this point, we can see how that point is moving. Okay, so let's try to, next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to assign the same thing in Y. So I just have to delete this and type LawCurve of 1 different variable, and I use the 2, index 2. Okay, apply. So now if I move this point, we can see how the point is moving. Okay, let's save this transaction. And we're gonna do the same with this point. So let's edit this guy, and X translation, we're gonna delete this value, and we're gonna switch it into LawCurve of 1 point dependent variable, and we're gonna give a different position. Let's use 0 this time, and let's copy. Hit OK, and let's paste it in Y, and let's hit OK. So now this point has the 0 value of this curve. So if I move only 0, only that point is going to move. If I move the rest, the other one is moving. Right? So now let's do the same. That's very nice. Let's do the same with the last point. That we're gonna delete this. We're gonna type the same LawCurve, sorry, capital C, O1 dot dependent variable, and we're gonna give the last point 5, last position. Let's hit and let's copy it, and let's paste it in Y, and let's hit apply. So now we have our points are controlled by the LawCurve. So let's hit transaction, let's save it. And if you can see, if I move now the position of this point, I'm only moving 1. If I'm moving this one, it's gonna move another one. This one is controlling that other guy, and this one is being controlled by the other one. So I have 3 different ways to move this component with one feature, that is the LawCurve. So the last step for this tutorial is let's create this. Let's generate a component, a feature type. So for doing that, we have to use this icon that is generate feature type. We just have to hit here, and we have to type. It's going to ask us, the first thing that we have to do is type the name. So it's good to use, for example, ZZ, because that way it's going to, when be created here in our new feature list, it's going to put it at the end, so you can easily find it. So let's type ZZ, and we're gonna call it capital L, capital C. You can call it whatever you want. Just give a name that you can remember it. So let's change it LC tutorial. So we're gonna use select from the model, and the only thing that we're going to select is the 3 points, 0.01, 0.02, and 0.03. Right? So now what we can see here is everything that is connected to those 3 points now we have it here to create the component, the feature type. So the next thing that what I want to do that is good to do is just to give some order to it. So let's move up the LawCurve, and the next thing is we have to select all. We want to do everything replicable, so we can populate it. So just select all of them, And let's log it and let's storage in your C environment. This means that every time that you open GC is going to be loaded. And let's hit OK. So now if we go to our feature, we have here our feature that we just created that is called CZLC tutorial. So this is the first part of the tutorial. I hope you guys learned something, and please watch the second part to learn how to populate this one and make an array. Thank you.